Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to the weekly review special for week 13 of the Gaming Decathlon competition. This week, I brought in 4,855 points, up from last week's 4,430. That is also a new individual single week record, beating the previous record from just a few weeks ago, which was 4,699. Current virtual best is up over 5,000 at 5192, up from last week's 5081. All-time virtual best does see an increase this week as one of our games has cracked the top 10, now at 8,937, up from the 8,903 a week ago. Breaking down the games individually, in PCM 20, first off, we have career mode. We're doing really well. We're in the Tour de France, and we lead, and we've led from stage 1. 558 points, really picking up some bonus points for hanging on to that jersey and multiple stage victories. We're in a really good place, but it's far from over yet. In PCM 20 Champions Series, I think it is now inevitable that we are going to cap, and I can technically go over the points. I'm not going to allow it because of the way that the series is modded. When I hit 1,000, it's going to be 1,000, and that's it. I will not allow the score to go above that. Otherwise, I think we could be on our way to 1,200 points or something. Right now, 780, up from the 735. We're only in the Giro. Career mode, 558. In the Tour, Giro is well before the Tour, and we're way above that score. Now, career mode's not going to hit 1,000 this season, but the Champions, I think, it's inevitable. We're going to get those points. There's a lot of season left to go, and that's a lot of points already. In the Women's Tour, 126 points. It's a new season. We're not that far into the season, but we're almost halfway to our score of the previous seasons. Even though we lost our top 2 riders, we're in Continental Pro now, so more prestigious races, and we're still getting a lot of good results. We're still getting a number of wins. We're still getting a lot of top 5s. There's a few type of races, especially the big climbing ones, where we're just not where we were previously. In Zwift, short week, I missed out on an episode. My wife and I own a daycare that we run out of our house. I'm sure most of you have heard that plenty of times. We do have an employee. That employee was gone the last 2 days of the week. I had to fill in. I always spend a little bit of time every day down there within the daycare. I handle the business side of things and then do part-time helping out. I had to do full days for those last couple of days, and so I was not able to do my last Zwift episode this week. But I left off with my first ever individual time trial. Also, we wrapped up the Cycling's March Madness this week. Didn't go down as well as I was hoping with the audience. For me, it was a lot of fun. It was very time consuming. I certainly hope to do it again next year, and maybe by that point I'll just have a larger audience and somebody will be into it. We'll see. Maybe I'll have to do a poll at some point on whether that's something to bring back or not, because I'd love to do that every year. Anyway, within Zwift itself, I'm continuing to make progress. I'm also continuing to be stumped as to how my wattage is so much lower than everybody else, even though I'm fit and I have strong legs. And no, I'm not in perfect health, and it's not as good as it was a year ago pre-COVID, though I've quickly recovered most of the weight that I gained over the last year. I've always been a good athlete compared to others. I always do well. I've always been multi-sport, and yes, I'm not in great shape right now, but I'm certainly not in terrible shape, and to be near the back of those on Zwift is just weird, and I keep looking at it and looking at things that suggest that I should be average or better than average, and just not getting those results. And I keep asking people why, and a few people are pointing out that, oh no, you're where you belong. You keep working at it. You're making progress. You're doing good. And others seem to recognize that I'm having that same situation and maybe agree, but don't know the answer. Well, anyway, point wise, I'm still making progress, doing well. 275 now. It's slow. Every week it's, minor gains. It's a long process. And, it's something that can go on for years and years. So, and, maybe in time I will be at that level that I feel I should be at right now. Another 50 to 100 watts than what I'm actually getting. I feel like there's something off between either my bike or the trainer that's not registering. Actually, one thing I've thought of, I think my seat might be a hair too high. I'm going to try to lower it down, and we'll see. Maybe Maybe it's just my position on the bike and I'm wasting a lot of energy. Could be the factor. Anyway, the last one, FM21 Perfect Manager. We're into our second week now of that new series, and we got through our first season, and we finished that first season with 79 points, which is enough to not terribly comfortable. I think we ended up with a 6-point advantage at the end, but that really came down to the last couple matches where that happened. But we won the league, and we'll move on to tier number 9. We also have moved on from total amateurs to semi-professionals, and we can now actually offer a little bit of money to our players, but we'll see how that transition comes. So far, so good, though. Liking the series, though it's not a massive audience because the game's been out for a while. And once the game's been out for a while, you really have to have an established audience, which that's a game that I just really don't have that on. So I don't know if that series will be able to go on long term, or whether I'll just play it to play it because I like FM21, and having an active series will slowly build an audience anyway, so that in future years I can get back to that. Because when I first started the channel, FM21 was a centerpiece, and I did have a decent audience on it, and it lasted for a good year and a half, and then I took a break. And then when I brought it back a handful of months later, the audience just wasn't there anymore. So I had an FM audience that I had built up over time. It wasn't large, but it was something. And I have a similar audience to that now, even though the channel's twice the size of what it had been. So keep at it. Eventually it'll come back. And again, I love the sport. I enjoy the game. So I might just keep going on regardless of the size of the audience. Having 2 series active was a little challenging, but just keeping one going could be a good thing. On the all-time virtual best side, cracking the top 10 is that PCM 20 Champion Series, which I think is going to go right up to 1,000. Like I said, I'm not going to allow it to go beyond that, so it will not take the top step, where PCM 19 Pro Cyclist cracked that and did go above that. That was a legitimate series with no modding involved, and so it was allowed to kind of get to where it goes, which was just above that 1,000 mark. For this PCM 20 Champions, like I said, I'm going to cap it off, but that's going to allow it to pick up another couple hundred points, and that's going to make a difference on that all-time virtual best. That should put us up over 9,000, and that's going to really, really get us up there into, well, a podium place compared to the all-time real decathlon comparisons. On the others, on the outside looking in, no changes for our 13th and 42nd place, the other PCM 20 series. Replacing the champions one on that outside looking in, because I always keep 3 listed there, is now Zwift. Zwift has actually moved up into 43rd, just 1 spot below the women's tour, though it's still 26 points behind it, so it's got a little bit of ground to cover, and at the rate I do, it might take a couple of weeks before it moves above it, but that's the only mover and shaker at the moment, though the career mode and the women's tour are both bound to pass up those scores this season, but I doubt it will be in the next 1 to 2 weeks. It might be after. However, the Tour de France, if I do hang on and win that, especially if I lead all 21 stages, that's going to be a lot of points, and that could top 703 by the time we get to the end, but I don't think it will. I think it'll put us into the 600 range, but that would be about it for now. Plenty of season, though, to top 703. That's going to do it for this review special. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and I will see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.